Live. We're live.
Boom. Good morning.
Good morning. How are
Good
we feeling?
morning. I'm doing great. Doing really well. Welcome to Sage and Bloom
Yes.
on Sunday. And Sunday, today is September 21st.
Mm-hmm.
Today is a new moon.
Mm.
And it's also a partial solar eclipse that we're having today.
Mm.
This is a very special day. Tomorrow is the equinox, so tomorrow I believe is the first day of fall. But this month of the way that the moon is and how it's transitioning, September is a very powerful month. But yeah,
Mm.
just wanted to put that in there. For those of
Yeah,
you who follow astrology, and I know a lot of people don't, but
I'm
I
blessed.
do believe. I do believe the celestial bodies do have an impact on us. And that's essentially it. It's not, like I think, people. There's so much more to your natal chart, your astrology chart than just your sun sign, and I think
Mhm.
that's it's very limiting.
Mhm.
And for a lot of people, that's why they don't, you know, um, delve more into it because it's like, you're a certain sign, and I had to realize that about me because I'm not your typical Aries.
Mhm.
Um, and like I know a lot of Aries that really want to fight, like they want to fight all the time, and I'm like, dang, like I'm like I don't want to
See, I
fight.
think my position in this becomes I feel like I'm a Cancer, but because I'm a Cancer, then I meet people who are like, well, you don't act like a Cancer. It's like, yeah, because I like
Right,
myself as a person. So I don't know. I,
right.
I think that those things
There's more.
may be a good starting point to give you an
Yeah,
idea of who you are. But
right.
when you hit a certain point in your life, because you literally can control your life, then saying, I'm sorry, I went off because I'm a Virgo is crazy to me.
Right, right.
I just it don't even make a little bit of sense to me. No, you went off because you don't have self
Because
control.
you're
You didn't work on it.
right.
That's all. You just didn't choose to work on it. I can't. I
Girl,
love it. We
people
gonna be
use it.
choosing today, and I
That
love
is
this because
this is so funny. But you're right. People do that. I don't do that because there's so much more to a person that and then I'm an evolved person, right? Like I'm
yeah, that's
always
why you're not a typical
evolving.
Aries.
I'm not a
You do your work every day.
but
You're
I've
not a
learned,
typical anybody person.
yes, and I've learned a lot about astrology and realized that there's more to it than just your sun sign. So I encourage people that are interested in finding out more to like
Yeah.
go get your birth time and get you get a natal chart anywhere online and just do a little research. I found out a lot about my chart, and I started looking into human design, and that's a whole nother system.
Yeah.
But yeah, but
Yeah.
we can move on. so, um, so yeah. So how was your week? What was your week like this week?
This week was pretty good. This month I'm just really working on a lot of systems. The biggest thing for me has been, I think we talked about this in my organization. I am very skilled and talented at a lot of things, but what I did not put a whole lot of emphasis on was building structures, so
Mm.
that what I do can become a repeatable framework, automated, and don't require me to be every part of the system. I think that's something that we just kind of adopted in our community. Like we can do all things and I do it by myself and I'm self-made. And I think that's the reason why, we don't usually scale our businesses either. And they never go further than a community or, you know what I'm saying, local. And so just understanding the vision for my mission, I know that it's going to require more systems and just strategic planning. And all the things that historically have not been my favorite, so I've avoided them. But now this month has been nothing but that. So every day is just, I've been at my computer more this month than I have in my life, I think. And
Mm.
in my life. But I'm also starting to see the benefits of it. So I've just been creating all of these different systems, even for the project that I'm working on with the students. You know what I mean? Like collecting data intentionally, creating my spreadsheets, auto populating them, my master, all of these things that I just didn't enjoy. But now I found myself enjoying them because I see how easy it's going to be for me to go to funders. I told you, I'm obviously in the process of raising $1 million for my organization. And you can't just raise $1 million because you want to. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Oh
you got
yeah,
to have strategy in place. And when you go before
girl,
people, they gotta believe in this, not because it sounds good, but because the systems and the structures can
girl.
hold their investment. Like, they want to know that their
Hmm.
investment is not going to die after that one time. And so,
Right.
if you're listening to this and you have a business and you are out here winging it, take it from somebody who has done it for 5 years. In terms of my organization, it's gotten me far, but it's also forced me to have to work really hard every single day, over and over and over again, because I've not actually created the structure in itself that would just
Yeah.
allow me to repeat.
Yeah, you're growing. Your business, you're growing. Your business is growing. You had a system, right? But
Yeah,
it the
it lives.
system wasn't really a system,
Yeah, it
right?
was. It was my
It,
system.
right, and it
You
worked.
can train people that way.
Right, it worked for as long as it worked.
Yeah,
Now you're pivoting and you're shifting, and now you're creating another foundation
yeah,
that will give you more capacity and space to do the things that you really want to do, right? And then you could just hire people to do that other stuff,
yeah.
right? Like I'm totally with you. Like I'm fundraising a lot of money to,
How
my
much have you
my
already raised?
so far I've raised I have I raised 100K.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that from a foundation.
Mm.
I'm in the process of completing an agreement with the city of Chicago for another 800,000. Now the only thing about that is I'm there's some things that I got to do now to like phase it. So since my budget changed, I might have to phase the project out to make it fit within the structure. Like, so I don't know how that. I got to talk to my GC and figure that out. So, but the other part is the programs, right? Like, so the programs that'll be in the space. So I'm fundraising for those too.
Yeah,
So, so it's a lot. I mean, I'm fundraising like 2, maybe 3 million.
yeah,
Um, I don't really have a really good number yet, but it's probably going to be closer to 3 million.
yeah.
Um, and so yeah, I mean that's a whole nother conversation.
Conversation.
You know what I mean? Like I wasn't, it started out as like 1 million, now then it's 2. Then I start thinking broader,
Mhm.
because now I'm like, well, wait, if I could do this, maybe I could do that too, and just phase it out. So I'm looking at a lot of different things. It might be bigger than that. I don't know at
Yeah.
this point. But I went to this conference this weekend. I was sharing a little bit about it, and it was perfect. It was like the perfect timing because the part that I'm having a really hard time with is like I'm doing a lot of this work by myself,
Mhm.
and I don't want to do it anymore. I'm tired. Like I'm tired of doing all the work. So it was perfect that I went to this conference because it's giving me a way to like create the structure to like for the other parts. And so just being around those people and asking questions, and they were like, have you done this? Have you done this? Have you done that? And I'm just like, no, no, no. And they're like, well, start there, and I'm just like, boom.
Yes, say
You know what
less.
I mean? And
Yeah.
so like so that just got my, everything moving up top and started me thinking, like what are some things that I could implement? And so that's kind of what I'm looking forward to do now. But I got some really good materials and made some great connections, and they're fun. There were funders there,
Yeah,
So
I love that.
so that so
Oh, go ahead.
so so now it's like so funding is, and I'm gonna be real brief, but a lot of times for nonprofits, we're all vying for the same dollars, especially in a city like Chicago. And you're doing, like for you, like you're doing youth programming. There's a ton of money for youth programming, but there's also a ton of nonprofits that are
Yeah.
doing the work. And so you have to like find your niche, but you also have to find a funder that you can build a relation, or funders that you can build relationships with. And so, but in Chicago, it's so saturated with so many nonprofits. It can be challenging, right? And so like with me doing this development, it's the same thing. Like I have, there are a lot of people doing developments in Chicago. And there's a lot of people that are vying for these dollars. So now I have to look outside of the city.
Yeah.
And so that's why I really want, and I started to realize that I'm like, I got to go somewhere else because all the money is going. I mean, it's already tied up with all these other funders, all these other nonprofits. So that's really good. Like being connected and now being able to click in with national funders. You know what I mean? So now that opens me up to other possibilities. So
yeah. I love that. I think it's all in line too with just the mindset shift, right? And the things that we got to do differently to get to the next space, which is, I think, a good transition for. We have a guest today, y'all.
Yes, we do.
Yes, this is our very first guest.
And we're so excited.
This is the very first time. We already got 7. We got 7 people on. We always celebrate our wins because we don't push it a whole lot either. This is just kind of something that we do, conversations that we have to keep us going. It's something that I look forward to when we do it every week. It gives me a lot of direction and clarity for my week. And so this week we're just talking about choosing, and I think it's perfect. It's aligned to, what we were just talking about, even in our own organizations and the things that, we have going on. We're at a space now where we have to literally choose to do things a different way, a more structured, scalable way. And that's not always easy.
No.
And so before we bring our guests on, let's just, I don't know. When do you remember meeting Crystal? Because I know you've met Crystal.
I went to find the spot, the collective spot that she has in Bronzeville. And I went there for a conversation about relationships. And it was really centered around personal relationships and, like male-female relationships. But, I was just very interested. I love conversations. So I was very interested in, where people's heads were around, especially in our community and Black community, like the conversation between our families and our loved ones and our partners and so forth. So, I'm currently single, so I'm always, interested. Yeah, I just like, I'd like to see what's out there. I want to see like, what are people talking about when it comes to relationships, especially in our community. So that's where I met Crystal. And, then we talked about that. And then you told me you knew her. And then I was like, oh my God. And then we started talking about, a little bit about the work that she's doing. And last week, we kind of created more structure when it comes to here at Sage and Bloom. And so we thought for our second week, which is we're going to be bringing on guests every other week. So we thought the work that she's doing around the movement that she has around choosing, or I choose movement, I think is perfect for our conversation today around mindset as the foundation and creating your own reality. And I think it fits perfectly into what we're talking about today. And so, we thought, let's bring Crystal on and let her share. I would love to I'm not going to give an introduction to Crystal. I think the best introduction is her presence and her speaking to her, the work that she's done on herself and the work that she's doing in the community. So why don't we bring her on?
The work that she's doing in community, I wish I could make an applause thing here. I got to Crystal, hey girl.
Hi. Hey,
Hi,
everybody.
Crystal.
Hey, girl. So, listen,
Hey.
before you introduce yourself, because we do have people who are watching live, if you want to join the conversation, you can definitely type in your comments on this live in the comment section. It'll pop up here and we'll be able to see it. And you can be a part of the conversation as well.
And
So,
I will
okay,
be asking questions of the audience too.
I
So
love
we want to interact with you guys on here. So
Uh-huh.
I will be asking questions. So you could put it in the chat, and then Waniki could share
we'll
that. But
figure it out.
Crystal, yes.
Crystal, you here, girl?
I know, right?
Good morning.
Hey, good morning. Happy Sunday, guys.
Happy
Happy
Sunday.
Sunday.
Founder of the I Choose movement. So,
You,
Crystal, you are
you
here.
see it.
Let's just jump right into it. What is the I Choose movement? How did this come about? What is this? From
So,
the
the I Choose movement is
yeah,
where we are choosing to create the life that we want to live and live it. It is where we are being participants in our own life, where we know that we don't have to accept what life is given. It is where we are choosing to keep choosing until our I chooses back. Right. And so it came from a space of not knowing that I could choose myself. What I realize is that I tell the story all the time, so I kind of like shorten it up and this, that, and the third. But I'm like, you know what? Sometimes one person out of 20 has never heard your story before.
yeah,
So you have to share it as if this is the first time for everyone. But
yeah,
nevertheless, I was in a marriage for 20 years and I decided to choose me. With choosing me, allow me to choose my children. And so, so once I learned that I could choose me, right? And it's okay. And, the more that I choose me, I've learned it's not personal. You know what I mean? Like it's necessary. You find your power in that. And so I wanted to create this movement or this space for people to know that they have power in choosing and they get to create their own like life. You don't have to even accept what life gives you, and you can choose right in the midst of the chaos, right in the midst of the storm. It
yeah.
doesn't take away your choice. You know what I mean? And so it started with me texting my friends, us going back and forth with sending our I chooses to each other. Then it turned into a planner. Now it turns into cards. And I just want to make sure that I get an opportunity, even if I don't see you face to face. You know that you can choose. How do you know? Because you have cards or you've heard the conversation. And when you learn or have conversations, choosing is not as common as we think that it is. And
Mm,
you
Yeah.
find a lot of people that have not chosen themselves or they were late in choosing themselves.
Mm.
And so it's a very powerful thing. I feel like I am at the core of people's hearts.
mm,
And it's
Mm.
such a beautiful place to be in. So yeah,
Yeah.
that's that. Yes.
I
oh,
have a question.
oh, go ahead.
I have
Come
a
on, Miss
question.
Vanessa, you coming off strong. Go ahead.
I have a question. So, I mean, I'm very intrigued by um, the process to choose because you said something. You said that people don't even realize that they're what they're choosing, right? Can you
Mhm.
can you say a little bit more about that?
So I can use myself for an example. I didn't know that I could choose. So I stayed longer than what I should have because I didn't know. I had a child at 15 because I didn't know I could choose. You know what I'm saying? I have been through things because I didn't know that you could say no. I didn't know that you can say like, um, I always say this like, no, thank you. Like what you're offering me, I don't have to take. You know what I'm saying? You kind of go with the flow of things until the flow stops working. it's
Right.
not, it's not working. You know what I'm saying? And so when you learn that you have power in
Mm.
saying, yes, in my I choose cards, one of my cards is that I say that I choose to say yes without feeling, I think, weak. And I choose to say no without feeling guilty.
Mm,
Right. Because
Mm.
sometimes those things go hand in hand when
Mm.
you are feeling like you're taken advantage of or whatever the case may be. So it's just shifting my perspective in my mind. Even going through my divorce, it was hard. It was long, it was expensive, and it was tedious. But what allowed me to be sustained and not be drained at the end of the 3 years is because of me choosing. You
Mm,
know what I'm saying? Like
yeah.
how I handled this thing. I
Mm,
could have chose to be bitter and to do X, Y, and Z, but why would I be that? It's so
Mm,
draining. You know what I'm
yeah.
saying? And so that's what I like. That's what I mean. And I hope that I answered your question. Because
Yes. Yes.
okay.
Yeah,
I'm
you answered it. Go ahead, Monica.
I'm wondering because it's a lot aligned with this because you're right. Most people don't know that they can choose, and I have to be transparent with myself. I'm a person who I think have been making decisions all of my life, and so that kind of gets you pegged as like the wild one or like the
Mhm.
out of line. Like I've always been that person though, and so it
Mhm.
does fall short. It falls short on me how many people are not, and
Mhm.
especially in adult life because I find that most of the conversations that I have with people
Mhm.
it really just boils down to what they believe their choices are in this world. And a lot of the times people don't believe that they have a choice. And you'll hear them say it like, what other choice do I have? It's
Mhm.
literally exactly what they'll say. And it's like, oh my God, you're just asking the wrong question. The question is, well, what other choices have I not explored? You know what I mean? It's just the reframing of it all. So, my question to you is, what was the moment when you decided that I need to choose or I'm not going to make this, survive this? Like, what was the moment
Yes.
and what was that thing where it was just like, I got to choose and I have to, and I got to be intentional and I got to do it every day from this point? What was that moment?
That's such a good question. No one's ever asked me that. Oh,
Oh, I love when people tell me that.
and you ask those questions that
Yes,
people
she does.
always have to.
I can't believe I
Oh my
never asked
goodness.
that. That's crazy.
She
Okay.
does.
Uh, um, but I think that when I no longer had peace,
Mm,
you know, sometimes you can fake it until you make it. Sometimes you have like good days and then the next day it's a bad day. But then there's when you can't find rest and comfort in this thing. You know what I'm saying? And
mm,
you've been able to do it for so long. And right now it is trying to take you out. You know
Mm,
what I mean? And it's not the physical thing, it is the mental thing that is trying to take you out. You know
mm,
what I'm saying? And so it came to a point to where I had to choose me, and I did not know what choosing me looks like.
mm,
Like I had filed for divorce like 4 times. Um, and each time I'm just like, okay, I just changed my mind. You know what I mean? And then just came back to it. But I think that it got to a point to where I really had to just trust God and
mm,
just go for it. And
mm,
go for it means just to be consistent in what I'm doing.
mm,
Right? It was no extra thing. It was me making a decision and me kind of like walking through it. And the more that I walked through it, the more that I lost. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, but as I have said, me losing everything allowed me to start over with everything that was new. you
mm,
know um and I believe that it's all about how you go through, because when I was going through my divorce, I was very strategic. I am a person, I me and social media, we always had a love hate kind of relationship. But what I never wanted to do was bleed on the people. So I got off of social media and I made my friends my social media. So I would send them pictures, and they would click love and this, that, and the third. It was my safe place. It was my protection. No one, like, I am grateful that I don't have a community that will bring me drama. So they're not sending me no screenshots, like we're not having no conversation. They were truly for me. And it allowed me to grow and to heal and to be vulnerable. And then after 2 years, come back like, hi. You know what I mean? And I remember this one person was like, you seem so happy. Is that real? And I
mm,
was like, whoa, you know, and it was. It's no facade. You can't fake joy. You know
mm,
what I mean? Like you could play with other things, other stuff, but you can't fake joy. This is the joy. This is Crystal when she had to sit in the thing. And that's the
mm,
thing. Like sometimes people like they get up, move too fast, like they don't want to sit. Like you have to sit in the thing. And
That is
so it allowed me to sit in there. It allowed me for me and my children to sit in there. And once all of those things began to happen, I became a present mom. You know, like I was able to see my children struggling and my daughter in some things, and I couldn't see because I'm too busy trying to keep my mind. Right. And so it's like, and to be able to maneuver. But once I found my boundary, I said, I choose.
Right.
I
That's
choose
so,
life.
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just gonna say that's so powerful going
Mhm.
from, like seeing that the peace that you really wanted in your life was not there, right? And really making the choice, like you said, like being consistent and following
Mhm.
through and deciding and doing that. And then all of the things that came with it, right? It's like
Mhm.
that breakthrough, the breakdown led to a breakthrough, which that then your whole life crumbled, right? But then you were
Mhm.
able to put it all back together into this new, like,
Yeah.
person, this new, and then having people see it, right, and say it to you,
Mhm.
is a great acknowledgement of all of the work. I mean, that's really the work,
That's the word.
the work,
That people
like
don't want to do.
no, because like you said, it revealed a lot of things, right?
Yeah.
And those things that it revealed, it is no longer in your life.
Mhm.
It's no longer there. And I think that that's the thing that I think for myself, when I was
Mhm.
going through the same type of thing, right? Where my life crumbled, I didn't want to, because I knew in the back of my head, I kind of knew it, I kind of knew some of the things that would no longer serve me anymore.
Mhm.
And because of that, those people, places, and things aren't in my life, and it doesn't change how I feel. And I had to tell myself that it's like you can love somebody from over there, like they could be
Mhm.
over there,
Mhm.
and you can still love them, right? They don't necessarily have to be in your life, and sometimes that's okay. You know what I mean? Because
Mhm.
I'm not the same person that I was before, right?
Yeah.
And I can't like expect people to be the way I want them to be. They're
Yeah.
going to be the people that they are, right? And so I love that is what unconditional love looks like. And I think that
Mhm.
we forget that. That doesn't necessarily mean that those people are going to be in my life. I can still love them
Mhm.
over there. so
Right.
um, so yeah, this is perfect because like I don't know if anybody's engaged with us yet, Wanaki,
Donna said,
online.
getting sick and tired of being sick and tired. When
That's what I'm talking about.
what
Okay, sis.
it makes me wonder now, because what you both said is that that's the work, and then Chrissy, you said, and that's the part that people don't want to do, and I agree with this. But I think
Because healing hurts.
I was about to go there. So I was about to say,
Yeah.
let's just go ahead and peel back the layer, because the thing about healing that I think that a lot of people miss sometimes is that it's actually not about the other person at all. Right. And
Mhm.
so when you have to sit
Yes.
in your stuff, and when you have to reconcile with yourself that you filed for divorce 4 times and went back, or it took
Yeah.
you 20, like you got to sit with the real reality of your choices in the
Yeah.
past and what it
Yeah.
makes you feel and think about yourself. So for
Yeah.
you, like and that's the part that I think is either going to take people under, so they get super depressed and they get stuck in
Yeah.
there, or they just avoid it altogether. So
Yeah.
it takes a different type of courage and strength. And for me
Mhm.
personally, I always tell people I can't go back into my past without God, because a lot
Yeah.
of the times what's revealed is not cute to me. And for me to remember who I am, I got to know that I went with God, because then
Yeah.
will remind me that I was made in his image, all those things, right? But
Yeah.
when you were going back and you were sitting with yourself and in those feelings, what came up for you? This, and this could be, you don't have to answer, but what was something that possibly came up for you that made you look at yourself, and you had to work hard to not think of yourself differently or harm yourself in your thinking,
Mhm.
um, to get through it? Monica said choosing takes courage, and that's exactly it. It does.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's exactly what it takes.
Cheers.
So what was something that came up for you that made you be like, whoa, about yourself, but then you had to learn to love yourself through that and forgive yourself through that?
Well, I think, I'm a type of person that I love to journal. I love to doodle. When I have aha moments, I call them God moments, like they're aha moments. I have to write them down wherever they are,
Well,
because
we
I
got
feel like
questions.
it's me.
I'm sorry.
Huh?
I don't want to cut you off. We got questions. So once you're done with this, we'll like
Okay.
start.
Oh, okay. Okay, good.
I love this.
So it is where it's like I'm speaking truth to my thoughts, right? Because sometimes they are not kind. So one of the things is journaling. Two, I was in therapy. Three, I think the self-talk that you have to have with yourself is
Mm,
very critical. And
yes.
what I realize is that some of the things that my ex said, he wasn't lying. And
Ooh,
I'm
and that's
like,
the
wait a minute.
thing.
Like, because I always felt like, oh, it's me. I'm the victim, this, that, and the third. But some of the things that he said was truth. Because after him, you're able to hear, and you've heard someone else say that,
You can
and
see the
someone else makes a comment, and I'm like, oh my God. You know what I'm saying? And so then you have to take accountability for it. And then you
Mm,
have to work on that thing. And I'll never forget, I was having a conversation with someone, and he was like, and you're this, and you're that, and you act like, and this, that, and the third. And so in my mind, I'm just like, now I'm better. I listen now. But I do have the ability to listen, look as if I'm listening, and totally disregard what you're saying, but you will never know that, right? So in
mm.
that moment, it was like one of those things. And I remember God saying, like, why you didn't write that down? You should have wrote that down. That was truth. And it made me have to, when the time presented itself again to where me and my ex could have a conversation, that I had to go back and apologize for it. And it wasn't me per se, like I need, I want you to do. It wasn't him, it was all me. Because sometimes you have to go back and deal with the thing. However
Mhm.
it's done, because I think for me, the reason why I'm able to come out and handle myself so differently is because I choose. It's literally a choice.
Mm,
Mm,
Nothing more than that.
mm.
mm,
So it's one of those things to where I feel like, if I'm here telling you there's power in choosing, how can I say I choose to not forgive? You know, because
Mhm.
you have to. Because you have to keep growing, and you have to keep going, and you have to keep choosing. And what does choosing look like for you and everybody else? So I mean, that's yeah, But you could go ahead with the
I
question.
love
That's great.
Go
I think
ahead.
it's so important to say because the truth of who you are, not just the good, but sometimes the things that we are not that proud of is real. And I think truly
Mhm.
we will run away from ourselves and because
Yeah.
we don't want to deal with the shame and the guilt of it. And so we avoid ourselves and we don't even realize the domino effect that has in every other relationship that we have. We think that
Mhm.
we're hiding something, but it's like you
Right.
just like you can't like fake joy, like you said, like you really can't hide, you can't fake the process. You know
Mhm.
what I mean? Like avoidance, you wear that. People can see it.
Yeah.
I don't think that people
Yeah.
Yeah.
realize it, but you can see when somebody's avoiding something. You might not know what
Mhm.
That's
it
great.
is, but it's clear. So
Mhm.
Yeah.
Nikki J asked, and this can go for everybody, anybody. How do you handle, but Crystal, we can start with you. How do you handle the people around you that don't understand you choosing you? Oh my God.
Ooh.
That's
Okay.
a
Y'all
really
come with
that's
the
really
That's a
good.
question.
great question.
That's a really
You want to
who
take it,
asked that?
Vanessa?
I'll
Nikki
take that
says,
one.
go ahead.
Can you say it one more time? I just want to make sure I heard it.
Yes. How do you handle the people around you that don't understand you choosing you?
Yes, that's a really great question. And I, and it kind of goes back to something that we already said already, right? Because it's an unfortunate part of because so it's an unfortunate part about really choosing you and being authentic. When you're really being yourself, right? You attract who you are, right? And sometimes when you're going through the motions of life and you're on your journey, sometimes you're discovering who you are, right? And I say it like that because not to make anything wrong, right? And I think that's what happens a lot of times is that just because people don't understand where we are, there's nothing wrong with that. It might be that they just aren't ready to, they're just not ready. And so there's nothing for you to do. There's no explaining to do, it's just you continuing to choose you. And if they don't understand that, then that's really on them, right? And so like not to like because I think that there's so much power, and I think that this is the lost thing, like you lose things when you choose yourself sometimes, right? And I think that that's the scary part, and that's the part that why a lot of people, including myself, didn't choose myself, right? Because I didn't want to upset those other people, right? Like I didn't want to upset them. I didn't want them to leave. I didn't want them. Um, I didn't want them out of my life. And so, but the more and more I chose myself, they just ended up, they just went about their way. And I think you just have to, by giving yourself grace and not beating up on yourself, right? And that's the other part too. Like, Wanaki and I always talk about boundaries. We're always talking about boundaries all the time because we're always at different points in life, like determine different boundaries, right? So you what you thought might have worked a year ago or even a week ago might not work. Like it's like by being authentic, by sitting down with somebody. And I think this is the other part. Like I don't think we do so much in our society because we've become so emotional, and it's hard to have conversations, especially with people who aren't at the same level of consciousness as we are. So, like that's another thing. Like, like not everybody is aligned, and it's okay. Like, it's okay to not be aligned. Right. But I think that that's the conversation that Wanaki and I love to have because like, we're always shifting and changing. That's just part of being human. And people just have to understand that like this. And if they don't, like, don't stop. Don't stop choosing yourself because they don't get it. Like it's maybe it's not for them to get. And yes, that's the sad. That's the hard part. That's why so many people don't choose themselves because they don't want to. They don't want to lose those things that they think are important.
But you know what? To answer that, I feel like if you are around someone or people that do not want you or don't care about you choosing, you keep choosing because you know it's
Right.
not personal, right?
Right.
And then
Yeah.
the more that you choose you, then you understand that everybody won't choose you, and it's
Yeah.
not personal. You know what I mean? Like it's
There you
it's
go.
okay. It's okay. Everybody don't want to do the work. Everybody don't want peace. Everybody don't want joy. Sometimes we say that we want this. It's a trend. It's more than a trend. You know what I'm saying? Like live the life. I remember when I was going through, and I was here at my new place. Let me back up. I was here at my new place, and it was so quiet. Like I did not know what to do. I felt like I needed to do something. There was something that needed to be done. And I remember telling my therapist, and she was like, Crystal, this is peace. And this is what you have to get used to. You are used to the chaos and different things like that. And she was like, and rest in it. And it took me almost a year to kind of like settle in the fact to where I don't have any anxiety. I'm just waiting for something to happen and different things like that. So I think, it is it's necessary and it's not personal.
Mm-hmm.
And what
Yeah.
I've
There you
also
go.
learned too, in choosing myself is that it really does show you where people belong in your life too, because
Mhm.
some people aren't okay with you just choosing you because first of all they've become accustomed to you choosing them because you have,
Mhm.
and that's been the truth of it. And so now in you deciding that you're going to choose you, you're
Mhm.
also pulling a rug from underneath them as well. So
Yeah.
that's something that we got to take into consideration. But the other thing that I've learned is that when you're around people who choose them, you don't feel that tension. And so I think that's where the boundaries do come in. Like, okay, cool. If I know that I'm around, like, I remember having a conversation with Crystal, and she was saying something. I was like, girl, honestly, I'm at a point where I don't even answer my messages to the end of the day. Like, so I do see them, but unless it has to do with work or something like that, I'll get to it at the end of the day or the next, because it's just been overloading me. And she was like, nobody has ever said that. But but there's also a comfort in knowing that you understand boundaries because you have them for yourself. And so there doesn't need to be a explanation outside of, girl, I just need to set, because what I'm saying is I just got to set a boundary for myself. But it's a language that you understood because you practice it. And so what I notice is that when I start getting around people who don't actually choose themselves, and you know it because you can hear the conversation that they'll have behind the scenes, like, I don't really want to do this, but well, why are you doing it? I don't
Right.
know. And I understand that because I did used to do that, like, because I was
Uh-huh.
my family, I would always do those things for, like, and I didn't really want to do it, but I would do it. You know what I mean? Because you're supposed to. I do understand that. But it's like, at what point do you stop? And then when you see how that bleeds over into their lives, like, now they can't really manage anything well, or everything is a panic, or because
Yeah.
you didn't overbooked your day after day after day after day, because you are not willing to choose you, because you think you got to make everybody around you. When I start seeing that, that is a telltale sign for me that this is a person who doesn't choose themselves, so they're not
Yeah.
going to understand me choosing me. So
Yeah.
I'm going to look selfish. I'm going to look like I only care about
Yeah.
myself, like an individual, and considerate. All of the things, all because they just don't do it for themselves. And once I
Right.
see that, I just know that there's a boundary that has to be set. So I only
Yeah.
can give you a limited amount of access because I can't really explain to you this process. You're not
Yeah.
going, you're not
Yeah.
Right.
your thing. But the people who are choosing themselves, you don't have that problem because they understand the importance of it, and they let you because they want you to
Yeah.
let them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's great. Those are both really great points. I wanted to add
Mhm.
something. Like, I think you said something, Wanaki, around um, practice, right? And so what are some ways? Because I think that's I think for a lot of people who are learning how to choose or seeing the power of choosing, and maybe they need some steps, or I don't like saying steps, but maybe some practices that can alleviate some of that tension, because there is tension in shifting yourself and shifting into becoming more authentic, right? Becoming more yourself. So, like, what are some things? And I think, Crystal, you said a little bit about journaling, and also you have your journal and the cards that you have too.
Mhm.
Can you share a little bit about, like, some of the practices that people can adopt in choosing?
That's a great question. That goes with Donna's question. So,
So I think that first you have to come to a decision with you to choose you, right?
hmm,
That's the first thing, because that's like the foundation of it. And so it is like, when I decided that I was going to choose me and I found the power in choosing me, I wanted to share it. So,
can I ask really quickly, what's the
okay.
crossroads of like coming to that point of knowing you got to choose you in general? Like, if there's like a, you know how
Well,
you,
well, you just for the sake of friendships, right? You can have a friend that, because one thing that I have learned in choosing me is intentional friendships versus regular friendships.
I'm learning.
There's a big difference.
Yeah.
Okay. um because with friendships, sometimes people take your presence for granted because you've been friends with them so long. So there's not much work that they do in it, you know what I mean? Like, there's not much effort in it, it's just you here, I'll call you back whenever I want to call you back, this, that, and the third. But when you have intentional friendships and the people that choose you, it's a little bit more easier, right?
Mm.
Because it's literally like, hey, let's have a phone conversation. Let's do a check in on Wednesdays. So that means with an intentional friendship, like, oh, I'll talk to her on Wednesday. You're not like, oh, she acted funny. You know what I'm saying? She telling me she gonna do X, Y, and Z, and we're gonna talk. That is literally like being able to have conversations that work for the both of you guys, so that you can be intentional with having those friendships and relationships. So a crossroad is like that. It's like knowing you deserve better, knowing that it looks different.
Mm.
So I mean, like that's, yeah, it's the difference between them.
Yeah.
Um,
Got it.
yeah. So another thing was that the fact that I knew that I could learn how to choose the power. So then I began to text my friends, and literally every morning we send each other our I chooses, right? There's not a day that we don't go by, we're sending our I chooses. And so then it began to go with them and their friends, or them and at the job, or just like the mindset being in the conversations. And so when I saw that, then I wanted to make sure that I was able to make some affirmation cards that if you do not know how to choose, this will help you to choose. Because the thing is that these are my I chooses. Sometimes they hit for people, sometimes they don't. But what will always hit is for you to know that you have a choice.
Mhm.
You don't have to accept everything. And I'm so sincere, like when I say that. So it's like, yes, we can start off with the cards, right? Get it in motion. You know what I mean? Share with your
The
friends.
habit
Like,
of choosing.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's
Yeah.
been a part of icebreakers. It's been a part of game nights, like all of those different kind of things, because I just want you to know that you can choose. Now, with
Right.
choosing and with having these cards, I remember Wanaki challenged me. The fact that, what are you choosing now? Like, I know that you're not still choosing the same thing. And
Mm.
that was the truth. So then I was able to make a second edition of the cards, because my I chooses, the more that you grow, they change. Even so much so, my friend was like, these are more detailed than the first one. You know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So I mean, like at the next one, I hope not to have paragraphs on the back of them, but
Uh-huh.
I just want people to know that they can choose, and to just start having those conversations. Because when you are in friendships, the great thing about having intentional relationships here, that you can have hard conversations and recover. you
Mhm.
Mm.
know in
Yep.
other relationships, sometimes you can't have that thing would have been and destroyed you, and it's like, that's not what I was trying to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
So yeah, so I would say it's just first being exposed, having a decision and making it, and then having conversations, and then literally making it a part of your day. I
Right.
choose all throughout the day,
Right.
not with my cards.
Right.
Sometimes I use my cards, sometimes, but I mean, I work with the public. You
Right.
have to choose.
Mhm.
Right.
Sometimes my coworker, she'll tell you, like, I have on one day, I had to put, I choose to remember my I chooses, because that's how much the day was going. And it was like, when people don't know that they can choose, they nasty, like they're just mean for no reason. And so therefore, I'm just going to let you wear yourself out, because I know that I could choose. So you think that
Right.
you winning? Sis, you've just lost,
So
because
what
it's
I,
a choice.
so I'm hearing like this like ripple effect, right? Like it's
That's
like
what
a
I
ripple.
heard. I'm so happy you said. Okay, go ahead.
I heard a ripple effects. Like
Mhm.
so the instant that you chose to
Hmm.
shift your life, it
Hmm.
it was like it created a pathway. And then everything that you did from that point on,
Hmm.
like aligned with that choice. And so like and so like and I think
Because
that's
when you choose you can't just choose you one time.
right. You have
You
to
have to
continue
keep
to
choosing
you have to
every
continue to
single day.
right. And so like but then you get this like it just hit me like you get with the other like I think like when I started to read like I when I started to see that too, it was about 8 years ago when I started to see the choices that I was making. Because I
Mhm.
think that that was the first thing was like, oh, okay, that's why that's happening because I'm choosing that thing, right?
Mhm.
Instead of, and then that's when I realized that I had another choice, that there were other things that I could choose that weren't that thing. And then when I
Mhm.
started choosing those other things, that other thing that I used to choose was so apparent, like it was right there, like in front of my face all the time, that I was just like, yeah, I'm not doing that again. Let me
Mhm.
go over here and choose that other thing. But I think it was the uncertainty, the uncertain for me, like
Mhm.
not knowing and being familiar with something, at least I would know, or think I would know what that other thing would bring to me. And this other thing that I'm choosing that I haven't chose before, I don't know what that looks like. And so, like, I think that the uncertainty for me in the beginning was a little scary, but then it started to open up possibilities that that I never knew were available to me, until I started to choose myself all the time. So that was perfect. Thank you so much for sharing that. But go ahead, Wanaki.
I just want to add to that because it's so good. It's that, and it's even with the cards. This is how amazing this is. Yeah. And when you know something is real, even with the cards, your cards in itself, like the second edition and the difference between the first edition and the second edition, which you said your friend is like, man, these a little bit more detailed. Your cards in real time are really like peeling back the layers of the process. What you said was initially it's just about getting it into your routine, building the habit, knowing that you can. And so your first edition is a reflection of that. It's shorter responses because every day you was just building the muscle and the habit of choosing. And now that you know, okay, cool, this works. Like I've been doing this works. What am I choosing different? Like the second edition of your cards is just the evolution of choosing, because once you get into the habit of choosing, then the second thing is you got to go deeper into it, which would make sense why now they're longer paired, like right. And you made a comment, deeper. I hope the next one doesn't have paragraphs, but it would make sense if it does, because
it's deeper.
It's deeper. And from just a selling standpoint, it makes sense to have like a beginner. This is like the beginner's intermediate, or whatever.
Right. It's different stuff, right?
It's different levels to choosing. And for some people, it does start with just knowing that you can. But then for other people, it's about being more intentional in your choices. And I think for me, like that's where it would land for me, because it made me think of the quote. The thing that made me really change my mind about choosing for real, and especially the way that you say it, like in your day to day, like those micro decisions that you're making every single day, is I love Erykah Badu. Everybody know this. Watched the interview with her, and she said something that really, really changed everything. Because I was in a space with myself last year around this time where I was extremely frustrated because I'm like, what is going on? I felt really stuck. And like, what is going on? Like, how do I have the ability to help all of these people and make all of these decisions? Or, you know what I mean? But I can't do it for myself. So anyway, I saw her do an interview and she said, the universe doesn't give you what you ask for. It gives you what you are. And so that in itself, that reframing made me literally look at my day and say, if this is my reality, what are the decisions, choices that I have been making throughout the day to get to this day? That's when I started to really understand like the levels of choosing. And that's why it resonates like with the cards and the different, editions, because that's where somebody like me will fall. Like understanding that once you know you can choose, now understanding how your choices really do dictate, like create your day to day, and your day to day is going to create your week, and your week is going to create your month, and that's going to create your reality. You know what I mean? It's creating your reality every day, every single day.
Yeah, it's that intentionality, being into like I had for the longest time, I could not like conceptualize what being intentional was, because it just seemed so far away from me. Like how do you be intentional? You know what I mean? And so once I started to see the choices that I was making, then I got to understand what being intentional. I mean, there's always intention in everything that we're doing. You know what I mean? But to truly have intentionality is really to choose, right? It's to take whatever time that it takes. And I think that's the other thing. It's like in the world that we live in a world where, we're very conditioned. Like from the time we're born, like you have to fit inside of this binary kind of system of the life that we have in our society, right? And so now
I knew he was about to bark.
I got a dog. I know that look. Like
you were looking at it like right? And so like I think that's just so perfect. Like just how like the process the practice, right? The
Yeah,
practice of and building that muscle
you got.
around, around all of that. So
I want to
so
when you as
go
you're
ahead.
looking for the next question, I just want to read some of the
Yeah.
comments. So
Yeah.
Cicely Brown said, people are okay with you choosing as long as you're choosing them. Choosing doesn't become a
Mm.
problem until you're choosing you and set boundaries.
Mm.
Wait,
Nikki
that's
said,
the
Second
shirt
that.
right there.
look,
That's a shirt. That whole paragraph.
I
Let's
know
put
that's
it
right.
on for
Nikki said, when you truly choose you that first time, it's hard to go back to not choosing you again. It
Mm.
gives you a power that you don't want to give up.
Yeah,
yeah, because
yeah, that's
it
good.
comes with like I think you said it, Crystal, about the joy, right? Like to really be that, to really get what joy is. Like I don't I didn't I don't that's another thing that I think escaped me for so long. I thought I knew what joy was. But
Yeah,
until I really chose myself, that's when I really got it, right? Like how to like create that in my life.
yeah.
And it does start with that. So really good.
You
And I
know
love,
what?
oh, go
Oh,
ahead.
go ahead, Monica.
No, because I was just gonna say I love that we keep pointing joy as our North Star because I think that could also be a reason why people can't be consistent in their choice because they don't know what they're doing it for. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Because it makes me think too, like I knew when I was transitioning from my job and it was gonna be tough before Elevate Greatness ever existed, but I didn't know what was gonna happen. But I just remember saying, I know no matter what, I want to be happy. Like I want to be at
yeah,
peace, I want to have joy. Like that is what I declared at the beginning of
yeah,
this journey. And so I
yeah,
think that's the thing that keeps me persistent in my choosing is because I know
yeah,
what I'm doing it for. At the end of the
yeah,
day, I want peace and joy. And it
yeah,
doesn't bring me joy to bring other people chaos. So it's not selfish to choose yourself. It's
yeah,
what things that bring you joy. How do you want to
yeah,
show up? And you choose that every single time.
yeah.
But what were you gonna say, Crystal?
So I wanted to go back to what Miss Vanessa was saying, like basically how people just like go with the flow. We're just so busy and different things like that. And then what you said about structure, right? So like I, I have a routine each morning, and so it is my structure.
Mm,
So in the morning time when I wake up, I do not touch my phone. I don't check to see the missed calls, the text messages, emails, or anything like that. What I do is that I will do my Bible verse of the day. When I get into the shower. Hi, good morning. That's my grandson. I would, go to the shower and then I would pray, and then I would listen to whatever music like that inspires me. Right. And close the door, legend. And then I would do my I chooses before I walk out the door because I feel like you have to choose before you walk out of the door because if you don't, you're allowing your day to choose for you.
mm,
We get to participate in our own lives. So that means that we have to be intentional to set in great intentions before we start our day, right? So
mhm.
then once I have done all of those things, then I will check my phone because I think that sometimes, like for me, sometimes people, they don't sleep, they don't choose, they didn't finish their thoughts. So you wake up to your phone, you don't know what you waking
What
up
you
to.
gonna get? Yep.
And so it's like you're not going to set the tone for me. And so even like at work, there is a board that I asked, can I write on? It's in the middle of pre-op where they're getting ready to get the surgery, the patient's ready for surgery, and then it is right before they go into the OR. I am the person that I'm always speaking. I'm speaking to my son like, Mom, you can't make everybody speak to you. I can, but the fact is that I put an inspirational message up there because I can't get to everybody. You know what I mean? But what I can do is put a message up there to kind of like slow you down. Because
Mhm.
sometimes we're always just in the routine of a thing. And so it's so much so to when it's not up there, people come to me like, Crystal, where's the message? Or, oh, good message. It starts conversation because
Yeah.
I feel like you can't do everything, but you can do some things. And you can't change the whole world, but you can change your world. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And so it's like, I'm going to bring you into this piece. I'm going to bring you, like, when I say joy, I always say I choose unspeakable joy that's hard to explain.
Mhm.
Like that kind of joy. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying? To where I should be upset, and I am, but I still choose peace and unspeakable joy, like in this. And there is times like you will choose, And the times that you didn't know that you could choose, it's like the residue sometimes comes back,
Mm,
you know, because
mm,
here I am, I choose with my children, and I'm grateful for that. Because I've showed them how to be toxic. I've showed them how to be out of control. I showed them, how to be all of these negative things. But I'm grateful to God that He allowed me to recover in front of them to where we can choose together, to where you can have a different outlook. Because, I ain't do it right, but now I know a little bit more. So let me like introduce this, you know what I'm saying? Like into this, and it kind of like helps. But I lost my train of thought, but it's never going. I just feel like, you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there's power in your choosing. And I think
yeah.
that's the beautiful thing when you do choose, because it becomes a form of your life. And
Yeah.
I was saying about the choices that I've made. They have come back up. And when they come back up, I'm telling you, I'm a person that I used to fade into black to where
Mm,
I would just like disappear.
Mm.
And I had to do that because I didn't know how to feel, right?
mm,
Like, I didn't know whether to be outraged, because the old Crystal is easy. She'll just go there, she gonna cut you, she'll watch you bleed, and she's not apologizing for it. Now, so it's easy. So sometimes people forget it's a choice I make.
It's
right,
People
easy.
right. Like I
forget
could do that.
because it's
I got.
easy. What is not easy is practicing self control
Woo.
and saying like, oh, okay, you're right. Okay, you got it. And then being able to do it. So now when I have hard moments, I don't fade into black. I stay up. Or I'll
Right.
take a nap. I'm a napper. I believe in naps. And so
Right.
when I
All
get
the
home from
time.
work, I will take a nap just to restart my day. But me being present now is what most I'm proud of, because sometimes I would just be like, I'm just gonna just fade to black, then come back. But now I sit in it and be like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the choice that I made back then. It's here now. How do you handle it? Especially when you have
Mm,
children and who have fathers and different things like that. And everything just comes into play. And it's, I mean, it's not easy, but I mean, like, it's the choices that I made when I didn't know that I could choose. So, I mean,
right.
it just comes with the
Yeah.
territory, I
Yeah.
believe. Yeah.
That's so great. Thank you for sharing
Yeah.
all of that. And I especially liked the practice that you have in the beginning of your day by creating that routine.
Hmm.
I think that structure that you have, it like you start your day like that, and it's like all throughout the day
Hmm.
you have that structure, so you don't leave your house, like you've created that thing
Oh,
where
yeah, never.
you
No,
don't
no,
leave your
no.
house until you've kind of you've gotten the all of the all the structure that you need for your day, so you can bring that high frequency, like, because that's what I think it is. It's a high frequency that you're continuing to bring with you in all the parts of your day, even if it gets a little hectic or a
Because you're
little
going to run into the
chaotic,
people
right?
that don't have routines. That's why it's
Right.
important for you to have one. Because
Mm.
Yeah,
then what they do is
exactly.
not as personal as it would be. You could just be like, oh, she didn't take the time today,
Right.
because it's the quiet moments that allows us to kind of like find balance, and just imagine like living a life with no quiet time,
Yeah.
just going. It's no
Yeah.
reward in that at
Yeah.
Right.
all. So
Yeah, it
yeah,
is.
so being
You know
intentional.
what? I want to say one last thing
Okay.
before you jump in.
Okay.
Fonda gave me a set of your cards, so I have them, right. So, and they're on my dresser, and I was pulling a card every day as part of my practice. So, like, my practice is I just like I don't do anything in the morning other than me,
Mhm.
right? Like that
She
that's my
wants to
time.
go. Mhm.
And so that the so the cards have been a part. It's like I have different things that I do in the morning.
Yeah.
It's become part of my morning routine. So I just wanted to first say thank you
Thank you.
for creating that, right?
Mhm.
Because it really does make a difference
Mhm.
for me, as I'm seeing, it like continues to bring possibility into my life. It continues to bring You know, it calms my my anxiety because um, it calms me. You know, I get to say, well, Vanessa, you could do it. You know, you can do it. You
Mhm.
know, you can choose that thing. You know, continue to choose you. So yeah, just thank you for making
Thank
those
you.
cards. And thank you for just your spirit. It takes something to do to everything that you've talked about today. It takes something very precious that we all have, right? We all
Mhm.
have it within us, but to see it in action
Mhm.
is very inspirational.
Mhm.
It does inspire me to continue to do this work. And if Crystal could do it, I could do it, right?
Yeah, it's that.
So, yeah.
It's that. What I love about the I Choose movement is that although I said that it's something that I've been just naturally doing, there's a difference between naturally like just doing something and then being able
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
connect, because that's where the power comes from. I think somebody mentioned where it's like once you start doing that, it gives you a power
Mhm.
that you don't want to give up, and that's true. And it's especially true when you know that that is what you're doing intentionally.
Yeah.
You know
Mhm.
that you're doing that. So for me, I know that we are at an hour and 5 minutes, and it's Sunday.
Mhm.
People got church. But
Okay.
I saw your cards, and so I'm wondering. Usually we'll go out with like a reflective point, and
Yeah. I was.
if you're in the if you're still watching live, it's some of you still watching. If whatever, definitely share out your reflections. We can definitely, I want to share those out as well. So what is something that you took away from this? But what I'm also thinking is, can we choose? Can we like
Yes.
can we choose and then maybe just say what that may what that might mean for us, since we're not necessarily choosing it ourselves, and this will be random. Just what that today could mean or not, to
Right.
us.
Because
Right.
because I brought both sets, right? So this is the first one and this is the second one or whatever. And I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna choose online and see what the card says for today, like one of each. And
I
these
love
cards can
this.
be found on my website where you can go. It's like the I choose movement .com. If I'm saying it wrong, I
Text
probably
it to me. Text it to me, and I'll
Okay,
use
and I will.
the bottom of it.
And so like for me, I don't just randomly pull the cards, and people do them any kind of way. So if you have the cards, keep doing them however you want to do them. I kind of like shuffle them around and just see like what the card is going to be for today. So out of the old set, I choose to be hopeful.
Mm.
So
What
I
does
Oh.
it
choose to be hopeful.
mean, Vanessa? What is that meaning to? What is it doing?
So I think that what I get from that is so when you're choosing you, right, and that is a muscle that we're building, right, we're continuing to build. Like there could there's some uncertainty in that. So to me, hopeful means trust, and it means it means to to like trust
Mhm,
that everything that I'm choosing for me is going to work for me,
mhm,
and to be hopeful in that,
mhm.
that I'm choosing myself and all of the things that come with that. So that's so great. Thank you.
Mhm.
Good.
What does
That's
that mean for you?
for me. I am
Yeah.
literally in that moment right now. A
Yeah.
lot of transitions are happening in my life, and I literally just said to myself yesterday, and I woke up this morning actually with it, and I was just like, okay, God, well, I don't know actually what's going to happen, but I do know that something has to change, and
Mhm,
so I'm going to change,
mhm.
and I'm just, when you say I choose to be hopeful, it's literally that I just choose
Yeah.
to know that it's going to work out, and
Yeah.
I don't know the steps, but it's going to
Yeah.
happen. Nikki
And
said,
it's been working out for you because Wanaki, it's been working out for you. Wanaki picked a card like a year and a half ago that I choose to know that it's working in my favor.
mm, it
And she's been doing some great things.
has been
Yeah.
working. So, and that's what I got to, and so choosing to know that to stay hopeful is important, because
Yeah.
it's important to know that if it's worked out before, it can
Yeah.
very, very much so do it all over again. And
Yeah.
I got one last thing I wanted to say.
yeah,
So I saw this thing online, and it said, this man said, he said, if everything works out for you, if because I always say that to myself,
yeah.
that everything always works out for me. Then he said, why do you care what happens?
Ooh.
And so,
What?
and so I was like,
That's good.
that shit sat me down. Because I was like, damn. So I'm going to leave that there. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So I'm about to shuffle the new set.
Okay, before you shuffle the new set, we have
Uh-huh.
some who chose. Nikki chose. Nikki said, I choose to know I have the authority to heal, move mountains, and do the work in the mighty name of Jesus. I know
Come
that's
on, sis.
Okay.
Happy
I
Oh,
love
that's
that.
Sunday.
great.
I know that
Come on.
Donna said Vanessa, I love that Vanessa describes choosing as a muscle that needs to be built. Because yes, that's exactly it. It's a muscle.
Yeah.
Mm,
You gotta
Yeah, it
exercise it
is.
every day, like anything
Yeah.
else.
Yes.
yes. All right. So I'm gonna shuffle this, and then I choose.
What is this?
What does it say?
It says that I choose to know procrastination is expensive.
Ooh,
Ooh.
that
Yeah.
was for me.
So,
I'm
with us being
sorry.
hopeful this week, we have
Yeah.
to move in hope and keep going. Okay.
The
Ooh,
way you
that's a
put
good
that
one.
together like a tarot reading,
Yeah.
the way you connected that actually is why
Oh,
that actually
Ouch.
is a thing because what?
yeah.
Yeah.
That's a
Okay.
great. Yeah.
And then the
Wow.
last thing I want to say that I want to say about my routine is I do this every morning, like the not touching my phone, not reading emails, like the praying, the listening to uh, inspirational music, the scripture, and choosing before I walk out the door. But then every Sunday, me and the I Choose movement, we have what we do our regular I Chooses, but then we give a word for our week.
Mm,
And then we send the definition to the word, and it is a word that we are speaking over our week. So I
Mm,
challenge whoever is on here,
mm,
one, to start choosing, two, to be intentional with your choosing, and three, to be able to say a word for your week. Call that thing out. You know what I mean? Like last week, mine was time management. That was my word for the week. This is to be prepared. Like I want to prepare for this week, to be intentional. So every week it's a different word, but it's whatever word that you choose. Because the thing
mm-hmm.
about it is the gold is to create the life that you want to live and live it. The life that I have now is the one that I am choosing to create. And I literally wrote a whole goal list of everything that I asked God for. And I literally had it on my wall. And I just shared this on yesterday. Whenever God completed the goal or the request that I had, I dated the date that He did it.
mm.
When He did not and it had not happened, I put affirmations by it because I believe in speaking to your goals, speaking that self talk to yourself. You don't change the goals, you keep choosing and executing them until they happen. You know how people I write a to-do list every day. If I haven't completed my to-do list, I don't start a new one. I
Mhm.
add what I haven't finished for the one day to the next day because you can't bypass
The
the
process.
steps.
Yeah, that's
Right.
You got to be
I love
intentional.
that.
that's
I
But
very
love
I'm
that.
done. I appreciate you guys. This was so fun. And I was your first visitor. You know this going
Yeah.
in my journal, right? Because this is about to go in my
ah.
Yes.
journal.
Well, before you go, you got to give a proper outro. So you have to let the people know how to find you. How can they get your games? Or before you do that, Vanessa, do you have anything to say before you take
um.
yourself out, Crystal?
No. No. I'll just say that my reflection.
Yeah.
Um. For like first of all, I'm just really moved by first of all by us black women, like black
Mhm.
women. I'm so honored to in this life be a black woman because I think that we're just amazing, and so to 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 continually attract that to myself, lets me know who I am, but then also the people that are around me. So my reflection is, like intentionality is, you know, it's something that I had to build into my life.
Mhm.
Um, and it's working. And so I'm really grateful for, for these conversations, for the life that I'm continuing to choose and create. And, just, just being here with y'all has been great today.
I'm gonna say that my reflection with Crystal, I mean not Crystal, Vanessa, you just really kind of messed me up with this. If everything always works out for you, why do you care what happens? And literally, that is going to be a journal prompt for me because the real question, truly, if you know it in your heart, and it does always work out, why do I care what happens in the middle?
Yeah, yeah,
What?
yeah. It changed me. That really changed me because I get caught up in the, like the what ifs, and my life is about to crash and I'm gonna live on the street or something, like my brain like
It
creates
was
all these weird stories and shit, and so like I had to like bring it back and say, well, that never happens, Vanessa. Like that
that
doesn't
never,
happen to you. It just doesn't happen, right? Like it's not gonna happen, like because everything always works out for me. So if everything always works out for me, why do I care what happens, right? I'm not going to allow it to be chaotic because I'm not that, So yeah, that it changed my life, and it helps me to not get caught up in all of the story that my brain, creates.
yeah, Crystal. Okay, well, what's a reflection point for you? And then you'll get the final word, a reflection point, and just take us out and how people can find you. Donna said, "Great job, Crystal." She
Thank you. That's my sister.
thank you for staying for the entire time, Donna. She said,
Um,
"Oh, look, that's sis. I love that." So what's
Great.
I love my community.
I love it too.
Yeah, you got a great
They show
support.
up. They show up.
Yeah.
They
Yes,
do.
they do.
I think my reflection is that um, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. This is not a fluke. This is my life. That I couldn't have cheated, scammed, did anything to be where I'm at. I'm grateful for the people that see me, who don't know me, right? Miss Vanessa, this is our first time like really having a conversation, but to be received, it's just a beautiful thing. So I choose to know that I'm easy to love. I choose to know that I'm right where I'm supposed to be. And I choose to keep choosing. And so if I'm going to close us out, oh, and I'm thankful for my community because I sent out a text message and I'm so grateful for them being here because what I have learned is that people will support me because it's me and people will not support me because it's me. So I am grateful for the people that do it. So as I close us out, I want you guys to be intentional this week. Um, I challenge you to choose every single day, like a short term goal, and then tell me how it has worked out for you. You can find me at I Choose Crystal. No. I always get it wrong. I Choose Chris. And that is at Instagram as well as TikTok and Facebook. Not really much Facebook, but just come up here. But that's kind of where you can find me. And on my social media, if you do not have the cards, get the cards. And another thing too is that if the cards are not for you, bless somebody else with them because we all know somebody that we can pour into their lives in some kind of way to be able to plant a seed. These cards are like seeds, and then each time you pull them, you're watering the thing. And so that's all that I have to say. So thank you guys again. And I was your first visitor.
Yeah.
And I would be remiss to not shout out Fonda. She's on here. She says she is so
Oh, hey,
honored to know
Fonda.
that I share these
Hey,
amazing
Fonda.
each other, and you do. Like you really are the link between us, the three. That's amazing.
All
Thanks
right.
for
Okay.
joining us.
Yes.
Thanks.
Thank you
Okay.
so much.
All righty.
This
All
was
right.
great, y'all. Have a great one.
Yeah.
Enjoy your Sunday. Have fun at church, Crystal, because I know that's where you finna run to.
You already
Right.
know.
Bye bye,
See you
everybody.
guys.
Y'all have a great one.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
Bye.